Here's some additional analysis regarding Michael E. Horowitz's report, the IG. Horowitz was thorough in some of his compiling, that is compilation of the FBI wrongdoing, treason, coup attempt, because that's what it is. That's what it amounts to. If I were an attorney, which I very well could have been and could still be if I fucking wanted to spend that amount of money to go to school and study law and read books for fucking 10 years or 5 or 2 or 1. If I wanted to do that and spend the money, I mean, you know, a lot of attorneys play games. I'll give you an example. Adam Schiff, he's a fucking piece of shit. One of the individuals who trained me to do what I do, he's a lawyer. And he tells his class it's one of the worst mistakes he ever made. Now, he's a multimillionaire and he's a funny guy. I won't go into any more details about that, but the point is that I work with a lot of individuals in the legal community because I'm a defense contractor and I've been at the Department of Justice. So, in my low-key background, I'll say role. I say background. It's kind of funny. Look, man, I could have been a page. I could have been someone on Capitol Hill, you know, fucking 15 years ago. I mean, I could have done that whole path, the whole House and Senate shit if I wanted to, and spend the time to work on the fucking Hill, like fresh out of high school with some years of college. I chose not to. So, given that I was a college honor student, and that I do work in defense as a defense contractor, and that I'm the age that I am, which is not 50, but close enough. I'm half a century old, almost. Fucking close enough. I've listened to Rush Limbaugh, Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, Larry O'Connor, and Chris Plant for years. Every single fucking day. And given my prodigious and scholarly background, I've memorized everything they've talked about for multiple decades. Pretty fucking much. So, Horowitz, just as Rush Limbaugh has been stating and saying, remarking all day long on the EIB network. By the way, I'm One Sir Grove. This is C4CW, casting 495 celebrities worldwide. If you are true fans, then we495 appreciate you. If you're not a fan, well, I can't force you to be one. So, Rush Limbaugh, in his expert analysis, as always, the Horowitz report, though comprehensive and thorough in terms of voluminous information being presented, it lacks, I would say, candor. Because Horowitz being a Barack Obama holdover, come on, Horowitz, you fucking failed, bro. The fact that you left out bias, claimed that there was no bias, I mean, come on, man. It's fucking ridiculous. So, though, in his mind, by his estimation, supposedly, he and his investigators could find no, air quotes, bias. It's clearly fucking biased. We on the right, we know that it's biased. We know that there was bias involved. Whatever you're thinking, Mr. Horowitz, that's your opinion. Not the opinion of tens of millions of other observers. So, though you left it out of the report, we know that it happened and that it took place. And we are the American people. So that's number one. Number two, it's going to be interesting to see how John Durham's investigation plays out. Now, I would hope that Mr. John Durham of Connecticut go ultra fucking hard on these deep state operatives, because it needed to happen a long time ago. And if it doesn't fucking happen with John Durham, if he doesn't just come out and say, look, Michael, I respect some of what you do, albeit you're fucking goddamn lying in terms of there was no bias involved. Okay? You're fucking lying, and I'm just going to put it out there. In that regard, you're a fucking liar. Now, let's get to the criminal charges. I am recommending criminal charges be brought against the following individuals and arrest warrants authorized, issued immediately. If that shit doesn't happen in that way, then there's a fucking problem. Just like there's a problem with the Horowitz investigation report. I don't know, but I suspect John Durham is going to go ultra fucking hard. Why? Here's why. I read an article the other day. It was, I want to say, was it Harcourt? Harcourt? It's from one of the Connecticut news groups. Was it Harcourt? My brain wants to say Harcourt. Something like that. And in that report, I look at millions of pieces of information per day. I'll have to go back and find the exact source and present that information. But one of the news journals out of Connecticut was stating, so it goes on to discuss how it highlights how Mr. Durham, that is John, has in the past been involved in major investigations of FBI wrongdoing. So, he's already investigated the FBI in the past. And he's already broken up FBI crime rings. That is, and those are organized corruption inside FBI, as well as he has a long history of having investigated organized crime outside the FBI. So not only has he gone after rogue factions of FBI in the past and has been incredibly successful in that, he's also done the same with regard to corruption in criminal rings, that is, organized crime groups outside FBI. So in that, he has decades of experience investigating extremely violent and extremely dangerous government officials and organized crime groups. So he, in that experience, is considered by the Trump administration and other observers to be the man who will go ultra hard with regard to taking a look at the Horowitz so-called report and tearing it apart. That is, dissecting it, deconstructing it, analyzing, evaluating, assessing, and reviewing it. And as other media have already reported, he already has said to Michael Horowitz and Michael Horowitz's camp that the conclusions that the IG was in the process of arriving at were not his group's, that is, John Durham and his group's same conclusions. That predication, in terms of the motives of the FBI and the origins of the FISA court warrant requests, and what the FBI and others who were involved in the cabal targeting Trump, so not just the FBI, but all others involved in the cabal, that is, the coup targeting Donald Trump, predicated upon the predication, that is, the premeditative nature, the origins of the FISA court warrant requests by the cabal, because they were all calling for Donald Trump's removal from office. They all sought to unseat Donald Trump, including the so-called whistleblower's attorney, Mark Zaid of Washington, D.C., who had stated openly that the president would be removed from office. And it is obvious, if you go back and look at Mark Zaid's post on Twitter, that he was calling for a coup back when Donald Trump was being inaugurated, during the time leading up to and during the inauguration of Donald Trump, they were already trying to impeach him based on baseless information. In that, and to that end, consequently, they all need to go to prison for what they have done. And Mark Zaid will naturally try to talk his way out of it, which he's already begun that process by making some fucking absolutely ludicrous statements because, he's an attorney who is not a good attorney. And so his whole goal is to unseat Donald Trump, which is what he clearly stated, that his goal is to remove Donald Trump from office. So Mark Zaid will say that he had the right, the legal right, freedom of expression to say the shit that he was saying, but he was clearly calling for the overthrow of Donald Trump. He has no fucking way around it. That's exactly what he did. And he's part of the highly orchestrated coup attempt against a duly elected president.